When I first started collecting antique singing bowls in the 1990s, it didn't take long before I started to have questions about their history and how they were made and what they were made of. At that time, we were already getting stories on the internet about the seven metals, about sky iron, meteorite iron, about gold and silver and precious metals being found in the bowl, even gems being ground up and mixed into the bronze mixture. I was very curious because I had early in my collecting found some specific bowls that I was wondering about. I found one of the very first bowls that I bought from Karma Moffitt looked very silver. Was polished years ago, but when I first got it, it was almost black in color, the whole bowl. Another one that looked very, very silver was this bowl that had an unusual shine and silvery look. And my personal favorite bowl also looked very silver with a sort of black colored tarnish that was very different from some of the other bowls that have more of a golden cast to it. And some of the bowls look very, very gold, like that one and this one. And the assumption at the time, the belief from many people, was that the ones that looked more silver had some silver content, and the ones that looked more gold had some gold content. But then I also had the ones that looked very green and brown and more coppery, and those were thought to be more of a standard bronze content. Well, I wondered about this, and as I developed as an expert and a seller of the bowls, people started asking me about the seven metals. Does it have gold? Does it have silver? And as I started selling them more and more, I also wanted to be able to tell people what the bowls contained. And that's when I started doing metallurgical testing. And I'm the only person that has ever done real extensive testing in labs and with scientists to determine the actual content of the singing bowls, as well as many other bronze and brass objects. I tested a lot of different types of objects, all Asian antiques, of course, with this theme, and found exactly how the singing bowls are made and what they are made of over time. So singing bowls are all made from bell metal bronze. Bell metal bronze is a combination of copper and tin and nothing else. There's no gold, there is no silver. I tested those specific bowls that looked like they might have gold and silver, and they do not. There is no precious metal found in any singing bowl. There's no metal other than copper and tin found in any antique singing bowl, nor in any new hand-hammered singing bowl. There's no such thing as the seven metals, and there's no gemstones. There's nothing else except for trace materials, trace minerals like sulfur, cobalt, that are just part of the smelting process and found in nature in extremely small quantities. The only exception to that were a small number of bowls that contained a very, very small amount of nickel and iron. And again, these were trace amounts and were thought by the metallurgists to just be in the mix and not specifically added due to the very small amount that was present and the very old age of those particular bowls. So there are four types of singing bowls, right? There are the crystal bowls, which are made from sand. They're silica glass, they're made from sand. There are the antique singing bowls, which I'm speaking of, that are made of bell metal, bronze, copper, and tin. There are the new hand-hammered singing bowls, which are also made of the same traditional mix of copper and tin in the correct ratio. And then there are the new machine-produced bowls, the more mass-produced bowls, which are made of brass, and those are made of copper and zinc. The brass bowls are the only ones tested that we found can contain other metals because they're likely made from scrap materials. So the brass bowls, which are the cheap kind of $15 to $50 bowls that you see on Amazon and everywhere else, they're perfectly shaped. They have a very simple kind of chime-like tone, and those are made of basically any metal that they can get together that doesn't evaporate off. So has no tin because tin has a low evaporation point and is an expensive metal. So the tin is found in the hand-hammered bowls and is part of what gives them a great sound. And in the brass bowls, the tin is replaced with zinc. So brass bowls are primarily copper and zinc, and that's the vast majority of singing bowls. So the traditional manufacturing process of hammering the bowls is done with bronze. Bronze has the unique characteristic that when you reheat it, it becomes malleable again. This is the opposite of steel, which when you heat it, it becomes more hard. Bronze, when you heat them, copper-based metal becomes more malleable again. And so the bowls were able to be made through this special process called annealing, where they heat the metal, make it malleable, hammer it into shape. Before they're done, it cools enough that they have to reheat it again. They reheat it again, hammer it into shape, and do that several times until they achieve that bowl-like shape. So a real hand-hammered bowl is always made out of bronze. It's only the hand-hammered new bowls and the antiques that are made that way, and they're hammered from a flat disc of bronze. The brass bowls are softer metal and are able to be cast. So the brass bowls are actually not hammered at all. They are sand cast. Some of them then have dimples that are kind of fake hammering. So you'll see some that are made of brass that say that they're hammered, but they're really not. They're really still cast bowls, not actually hand hammered. And you can tell those by the perfection and the evenness of those false hammer marks. Real hammer marks look like this, very random, different sizes, different shapes, and all over the bowl, whereas those kind of falsely hammered bowls just have even spacing rows of these little indentations, and those are the cheap brass bowls. They're not real hammered singing bowls. So the metallurgy of singing bowls is not a mystery. There are no such thing as 7 metals. Actually, in recent times, some singing bowl manufacturers have stated that they have started to put the small, tiny amount of the 7 metals in their alloy just so they can be honest with their customers and say, yes, it contains 7 metals. But in reality, the functional mix is copper and tin. It's 78-79% copper and 22% tin. And that's the standard bell metal mix. It's the best sounding material ever known to history. Singing bowls are made of this metal. Handbells are made of this metal. Church bells are made of this metal. Gongs, cymbals, all the great sounding bronze instruments are made from bell metal bronze. It's not as much of a secret as people think. It just took us taking a lot of bowls to the lab to study them and figure it out. Now, the interesting thing is, why do they look different? Why do some bowls look more silver like that? And why do some bowls look more gold like that? And it actually is due to the heating. It's due to how the alloy is prepared. It's due to the temperature and the length of time that they're heated. And that's what creates the different colors. And the really gold bowls represent the highest specialization, the highest level of the bowl maker's art. And they're really spectacular and sound spectacular as well. You can find more information in my free articles at singingbowlmuseum.com, in my book, The Singing Bowl Book, and feel free to ask me any questions here or online.